Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we're unlocking chapters 7 through 9 of the Crysticism text. We are picking up the story exactly as our protagonist Evelyn, a grounded 20-year-old student, wakes up in this quiet, sunlit high school auditorium. Now, at first, she thinks she's just had this wildly intense anxiety dream about a demonic dark council operating right under the school floorboards. But as she shakes off the fluorescent glare, she realizes she isn't actually alone. Resting right there, directly on top of her backpack, is a mysterious, unbranded black notebook. And this notebook, well, it's about to take us on a really grounded, real-world journey of self-discovery as it unpacks the hidden machinery of human psychology and modern society. So Evelyn cautiously flips open the cover, probably expecting it to just be some discarded drama club prop, right? But instead, she finds this enigmatic inscription on the inside, "For the next soul who remembers." It's written in this loose, flowing handwriting, and the ink literally shimmers with a faint silver energy. This instantly makes one thing absolutely clear. We are not just looking at a discarded diary. We're looking at a deliberate, investigative guide meant to awaken the reader to the invisible systems operating all around them. All right, let's get into Section 1, the mysterious black notebook, decoding the text. The school bell rings, snapping Evelyn back to reality, but what she finds inside these pages is about to completely reframe her world. She finds this script-like record, perfectly organized with bullet points and diagrams, detailing that very dark council meeting she thought was just a dream. Whether it's a literal record or just a brilliant metaphor, Evelyn starts treating the text like a psychological case study. It outlines a highly calculated system designed specifically to keep people constantly distracted, emotionally drained, and ultimately reprogrammed to just accept a totally numb existence. What's really fascinating here is how the notebook breaks down basically the entirety of the human experience into 3 highly structured, interconnected categories. You have the 7 painful problems, the 7 pills used to treat them, and the 7 mystic powers that act as the ultimate cure. It is a beautifully organized framework that takes all the chaotic noise of growing up and distills it into a completely observable, predictable system.
Moving right along to Section 2, decoding pains and bills, analyzing the system.
Picture this. It's later that night. Evelyn is sitting in the bright, quiet space of her bedroom, and she literally takes a pen and starts writing her own margin notes beside the text. And it is incredibly relatable. She connects the notebook's abstract concept of a painful problem like misinformation to the very real, paralyzing exhaustion of modern digital doom scrolling. She realizes that when she scrolls through endless, conflicting political headlines, she just feels totally paralyzed and ends up doing nothing at all. She's translating cosmic theory right into modern reality. And this brings us to the notebook's core theory, a direct one-to-one mapping, where every single problem created by the system is met with a specific system-approved pill. So the fog of a tired mind, that's met with endless digital entertainment. Now, I do want to impartially point out how the source text uses certain terminology here. For instance, it lists socialism simply as a systemic mechanism or a network of excuses that allegedly supports addictions by whispering to society, hey, everyone does it, this is normal. The text is strictly using these concepts as functional components of a vast control grid. But here is the absolute kicker. These so-called pills, whether we're talking about literal stimulants, escaping into fantasy, or just conforming to the crowd, they don't actually fix the underlying issues. They are designed to merely mask the symptoms temporarily and provide artificial relief. And the true, hidden goal behind all of this? To make you require ever-increasing doses just to keep the pain away, which actively prevents people from making real changes and discovering their true, innate empowerment.
So, as Evelyn reads this, her chest tightens. She recognizes her own habits, binge-watching shows until 3 a.m. just to avoid her own dissatisfaction. Recognizing this relentless cycle forces her to zero in on the ultimate question, the only real way to escape the trap. Where exactly do the 7 powers fit into all of this?
She flips the page, and there it is. 7 empty circles. They aren't filled with long definitions. They are simply labeled with these 7 mystic powers: controlled will, wisdom, caring, all the way down to transmutation. The notebook frames these not as some kind of fairy tale magic, but as the ultimate, grounded countersystem to all the noise of the modern world.
And the instructions for unlocking these powers are crystal clear. The notebook states these are not given, they are developed. They wake fastest when pushed against their opposite. It makes it absolutely clear that these aren't magical gifts just bestowed upon the lucky few. They are deliberate, conscious choices. Your controlled will only grows stronger when you actively push back against the distraction meant to break you. It is literally resistance training for the soul.
Now, the source text also contains a pretty stark warning about the societal pushback you're going to face if you try to develop these powers. Impartially speaking, the text outlines a strategy where what it calls a woke socialist society uses peer pressure and cancellation to stop anyone trying to wake up. It describes a tactic of labeling empowered, free-thinking individuals as conspiracy theorists or supremacists to completely destroy their credibility, ensuring the rest of society stays afraid of them. It frames this as a highly effective method of social quarantine.
Which brings us to Section 3, Observing the System, the Real-World Case Study.
Evelyn basically takes this knowledge straight out of her bedroom and carries the notebook around her high school, testing its wild theories against the everyday behaviors of her peers. Over the next few weeks, her daily schedule turns into a live-action observation of the system at work. In homeroom, a kid bragging about pulling an all-nighter on focus meds perfectly illustrates the will pill. At noon, a cafeteria screaming match over a political meme is textbook negative empowerment. And in English class, when students argue that everyone has their own truth, Evelyn literally watches the fantasy pill drowning objective truth in personal illusions exactly as the book described.
But she doesn't just sit back and observe, she experiments. When that heavy numbness, that gray digital fogginess, presses down on her, she tests her controlled will. Sitting in a quiet, detailed library, instead of succumbing to the endless scroll of her phone, she consciously chooses to leave it face down on the desk. She chooses to sketch. She chooses to just breathe. It's a small choice, sure, but honestly, it's a profound act of rebellion against the system.
Of course, this quiet rebellion doesn't go entirely unnoticed. Staying up late to read and sketch prompts a really poignant interaction with her mother. Seeing Evelyn looking tired, her well-meaning mom innocently suggests relying on medical solutions for her stress, literally echoing the exact language of the notebook system of pills.
And this sparks such a powerful, empathetic realization for her. She writes down that her parents, and people just like them, they aren't malicious or evil. They are simply caught inside the system. They honestly believe that quick-fix pills are the only logical answer simply because their willpower was hijacked before they even knew they had it.
As Evelyn finally closes her notebook, she realizes she can never unsee the systems of control stamped all over normal life. And the source text leaves us with this lingering, powerful thought. Somewhere below the surface, the system watches, waiting to see if anyone will actually break out. So I leave you with this. In our own lives, just as in Evelyn's, will we remain comfortably numbed by the 7 pills, or will we find the controlled will to push back and actually develop our own 7 powers?